Have you ever tossed a penny into a jar without giving it a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking coin was quietly worth more than most luxury homes? Somewhere in America, an unsuspecting 1989 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark could still be hiding in a forgotten coffee can, an old wallet, or the bottom of a kitchen drawer. Most people would spend it without blinking. A careful collector would stop, look closer, and possibly uncover a life-changing discovery. The 1989 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where pennies traditionally carried no mint mark during that era. Millions were produced, making the coin appear common at first glance. But history has proven something remarkable. Even coins made in enormous numbers can become incredibly valuable when extraordinary minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unique characteristics enter the picture. That is exactly where the story begins. Imagine two identical-looking pennies sitting side by side. One is worth a single cent. The other captures the attention of elite collectors willing to pay astonishing amounts for the right example. The difference isn't luck alone. It is knowledge. Now here's the surprising part. Some of the most valuable 1989 pennies owe their value to dramatic minting mistakes. Collectors search relentlessly for doubled dies that create noticeable doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes that reveal a spectacular production error, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual defects that escape the mint's quality control. The rarer and more dramatic the mistake, the more intense the competition becomes among serious buyers. But don't rush to empty your piggy bank just yet. Condition is just as important as rarity. A 1989 penny preserved in brilliant, nearly flawless mint state condition can command dramatically higher prices than the same coin showing years of circulation. Tiny scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details can separate an ordinary coin from one that turns heads at major auctions. Think about that for a moment. A single penny could spend decades unnoticed before someone finally recognizes its true importance. How many family coin jars have already been donated, spent, or forgotten forever? That possibility creates both excitement and urgency. Every year, collectors continue searching because remarkable discoveries never completely stop. Estate sales, inherited collections, old cash registers, and forgotten bank rolls have all produced unexpected treasures. The next incredible find could easily be sitting much closer than anyone imagines. Here's a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the date on a penny before spending it? Most people never do. That simple habit is exactly why hidden treasures continue slipping through everyday hands. While millions rush through life chasing the next big investment, experienced collectors quietly examine pocket change one coin at a time. Now let's address the claim that often captures everyone's attention. Stories circulate about rare Lincoln cents reaching extraordinary values approaching $989,000, or even more under exceptional circumstances. Those headline-making prices generally depend on an extraordinary combination of extreme rarity, major mint errors, elite professional grading, outstanding preservation, and fierce competition between determined collectors at auction. They represent exceptional examples, not typical 1989 pennies. Still, the lesson remains incredibly powerful. You never truly know what sits inside an old coin collection until someone takes the time to inspect every detail carefully. That forgotten penny passed down through generations may tell a story far more valuable than anyone expected. So before you spend another Lincoln cent, pause for just a second. Check the date. Look for unusual doubling, striking errors, sharp details, and exceptional condition. One careful inspection could separate an ordinary day from an unforgettable discovery. Because history has a remarkable habit of rewarding those who pay attention while everyone else keeps looking the other way. And somewhere tonight, hidden among countless ordinary pennies across America, another remarkable coin may still be waiting for the person curious enough to recognize that sometimes the smallest piece of change can inspire the biggest change in a lifetime. Have you ever wondered if the penny hiding in your pocket, a forgotten coin jar, or the bottom of an old dresser could quietly be worth far more than 1 cent? Most people would spend a 1991 Lincoln penny without a second thought. But a careful collector knows that every coin deserves a closer look, because the smallest detail can make the biggest difference. Before you dismiss that ordinary-looking 1991 Lincoln 1-cent coin with no mint mark, stay with me. What you're about to learn could completely change the way you look at your spare change. The 1991 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, where it was normal for pennies of that year to have no mint mark at all. Millions were produced, which means most examples are worth only face value or a small premium if they are in exceptional condition. But that is exactly where the story becomes interesting. While ordinary coins are common, extraordinary examples are anything but. Now imagine opening an old coin album that has not been touched in decades. Inside sits a bright red 1991 penny, preserved almost perfectly since the day it left the mint. Suddenly, a coin that everyone else ignored begins attracting serious attention from collectors. That's the difference condition can make. But don't stop there. What if your coin has something unusual? A dramatic off-center strike, a broad strike, a doubled die, or another genuine mint error can transform an everyday coin into something collectors compete to own. These are the discoveries that fuel exciting auction stories and keep treasure hunters searching through rolls of pennies every single day. Here's something funny. Most people can identify the latest smartphone in seconds, but hand them a potentially valuable penny and they'll spend it on a parking meter. Don't let that be your story. As the search becomes more exciting, patience becomes your greatest advantage. Examine the date carefully. Study Lincoln's portrait, look closely at the lettering and the reverse design. Even tiny differences deserve attention because collectors pay for rarity, authenticity, and outstanding preservation. Every year, valuable coins are accidentally spent because someone assumed all pennies are identical. That mistake cannot be undone once the coin disappears into circulation. The opportunity is gone forever. And here's the twist that keeps experienced collectors motivated. The highest prices are not paid simply because a coin is old. They are paid because the right combination of rarity, condition, eye appeal, and verified mint errors comes together in one extraordinary piece. Those remarkable coins can command astonishing prices at major auctions, while ordinary examples remain inexpensive. So where does the famous 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent fit into this story? It reminds us that valuable discoveries often hide in plain sight. While viral stories sometimes exaggerate values by suggesting every 1991 penny is worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, the reality is far more exciting for serious collectors. The challenge is identifying the exceptional coin among millions of ordinary ones. That search is what makes coin collecting so rewarding. Before selling any unusual-looking penny, have it authenticated and professionally graded. Expert verification can confirm whether you're holding a genuine mint error, an exceptional uncirculated example, or simply a common circulation coin. That single step could protect you from accepting far less than a truly special coin deserves. Tonight, before you walk past that forgotten jar of pennies, ask yourself one simple question. What if the coin everyone else overlooked is the one you've been waiting to find? Sometimes incredible discoveries begin with nothing more than curiosity, careful observation, and the willingness to look twice. Your next life-changing treasure may not be hiding in a vault. It may already be waiting quietly in your own home. The next time you reach into your pocket, open an old coffee can, or sort through a forgotten jar of pennies, don't assume every coin is worth just 1 cent. One ordinary-looking 1992 D. Lincoln penny could be hiding a story that has stunned collectors, triggered bidding wars, and transformed a tiny piece of copper-coated metal into an astonishing prize. Imagine spending one of these without a second thought, only to discover later that a nearly identical coin sold for an extraordinary amount. That possibility alone is enough to make anyone slow down before handing over their spare change. The 1992 D. Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint during a year when billions of pennies entered circulation. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln appears on the front, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly on the reverse, and the small D mint mark beneath the date tells you it was produced in Denver. Nothing about it screams treasure. That's exactly what makes the hunt so exciting. Most of these coins are worth only face value. But every treasure hunter knows that rarity is born from tiny details most people never notice. A slight design variation, an unusual strike, or a rare minting characteristic can completely change a coin's destiny. Suddenly, an overlooked penny becomes the center of attention in the collecting world. Now here's where the excitement begins. Before you rush to check your change, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of spending it? If your answer is never, you're certainly not alone. Millions of Americans do exactly the same thing every day. Among serious collectors, the 1992 D. Lincoln cent has earned attention because a very small number display unusual characteristics that separate them from ordinary examples. Specialists carefully inspect the lettering, spacing between design elements, the condition of the surfaces, and any evidence of striking anomalies. Every tiny feature matters. Sometimes the difference between an everyday coin and an extraordinary discovery is smaller than the width of a human hair. Condition is another critical factor. Coins that escaped circulation with brilliant original surfaces are far more desirable than heavily worn examples. Professional grading services evaluate preservation, luster, strike quality, and eye appeal before assigning a grade. Higher grades often command dramatically stronger prices because surviving examples become increasingly scarce. But here's the part many people overlook. Rare errors can multiply collector demand. Off-center strikes, dramatic die cracks, doubled design elements, clipped planchets, or other verified mint mistakes can turn an already collectible coin into something even more desirable. That's why experienced collectors examine every detail under magnification before making any conclusions. Now imagine discovering one in your own collection. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet remarkable finds continue to appear because families inherit old jars of coins. Forgotten piggy banks are opened, and estate collections reveal pieces that sat untouched for decades. History has a funny way of hiding in plain sight. Some exceptional examples with extraordinary rarity, elite condition, or highly sought-after characteristics have inspired sensational headlines claiming values approaching $992,000 or even more under extraordinary circumstances. Those figures represent exceptional collector market scenarios rather than the value of a typical 1992 D penny. But they remind us just how dramatically rarity can influence price. Before selling any coin that appears unusual, avoid cleaning it. Even gentle polishing can reduce collector value significantly. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges, store it in a protective holder, and seek a valuation from a respected professional grading service. One careful decision today could preserve substantial value tomorrow. The greatest lesson hidden inside the 1992 D. Lincoln penny isn't just about money. It's about recognizing opportunity where everyone else sees something ordinary. While others overlook loose change, collectors understand that patience, knowledge, and careful observation can reveal extraordinary surprises. So before another penny slips through your fingers, take one more look. That humble little coin could simply be worth 1 cent. Or it could become the discovery that changes the way you look at every handful of change for the rest of your life. Have you ever dropped a penny into a jar without giving it a second thought? What if that tiny copper-colored coin was quietly holding the power to change your financial future? It sounds unbelievable, but every year ordinary Americans discover coins worth thousands of dollars, and in extraordinary circumstances, rare examples have reached astonishing prices. One of the most talked-about modern coins among collectors is the 1995 D. Lincoln 1 cent penny. Before you spend another penny, you may want to look a little closer. The 1995 D. Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, producing hundreds of millions of coins for everyday circulation. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait appears on the front, while the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly on the reverse. Millions pass through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets across America. Most remain worth only 1 cent today. But that's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Every great treasure hides in plain sight. The coins attracting serious attention aren't ordinary examples. Collectors search for rare minting mistakes, dramatic die varieties, and exceptionally preserved pieces that escaped decades of wear. A tiny imperfection created during production can transform a common penny into an extraordinary collectible. Imagine sorting through an old coffee can filled with forgotten change. You pick up a 1995 D penny, expecting nothing. Then you notice unusual doubling in the lettering, an off-center strike, or signs of a rare die error. Suddenly, that ordinary cent deserves another look. Sounds like a movie scene, doesn't it? Yet discoveries just like this continue to happen because millions of old coins remain hidden in homes across the country. Now here's the part many people overlook. Condition can be just as important as rarity. Coins with brilliant original surfaces, sharp details, and virtually nowhere often command dramatically higher prices than circulated examples. Professional grading can make an enormous difference, separating an average collectible from a coin that captures national attention at auction. And here's a question. When was the last time you actually examined the pennies sitting in your change jar? Exactly, most people never do. That simple habit creates opportunity for those willing to spend a few minutes looking more carefully. While others see loose change, knowledgeable collectors see history, craftsmanship, and the possibility of remarkable value. Some extraordinary examples with exceptional characteristics, elite preservation, and highly desirable mint errors have generated incredible excitement in the marketplace. Stories of coins approaching values around $995,000 have fueled interest among treasure hunters everywhere. These headline-worthy prices represent extremely rare circumstances involving unique combinations of rarity, condition, and collector demand. But they remind everyone that remarkable discoveries can begin with the smallest coin in circulation. The excitement doesn't end there. New discoveries continue to surprise experts because previously unknown varieties occasionally emerge from old collections. Coins stored in albums, forgotten drawers, inherited boxes, or family safes sometimes reveal hidden treasures decades after they were minted. Here's something funny. We carefully inspect expensive jewelry before buying it, yet we toss pennies into cup holders without a second glance. Strange, isn't it? Sometimes the smallest objects receive the least attention while holding the greatest surprises. If you believe you found a promising 1995 D Lincoln cent, avoid cleaning it. Even gentle polishing can reduce collector value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges, compare it with reliable reference images, and consider having it authenticated by a respected grading service if the coin displays unusual features or exceptional preservation. The greatest treasure isn't always buried underground. Sometimes it waits quietly in a forgotten jar on a kitchen shelf, inside an old wallet, or at the bottom of a dresser drawer. The next penny you discover could simply be another cent, or it could become the coin that completely changes the way you look at pocket change forever. Before you spend another 1995 D Lincoln penny, take one more careful look. That single moment of curiosity might become the most valuable habit you ever develop. Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Because one ordinary-looking 2006 Lincoln 1-cent coin without a mint mark could be the reason someone walks into an auction with a few cents and walks out with a life-changing payday. Most people spend these coins without a second thought. Collectors do the exact opposite. They slow down, inspect every detail, and sometimes discover a coin that transforms an everyday find into an extraordinary opportunity. Before you assume every 2006 penny is worth only a cent, stay with me, because one tiny detail can make all the difference. The 2006 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck for circulation at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike Denver coins, these pieces normally carry no mint mark, making them incredibly common at first glance. That is exactly why remarkable examples often remain hidden in jars, drawers, old piggy banks, and forgotten coin collections across America. They blend in perfectly until someone knows what to look for. Now imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies collected decades ago. Most people would see nothing more than spare change. A serious collector sees possibilities. Could there be an unusually sharp strike, an off-center design, a dramatic die crack, a doubled feature that escaped quality control? These are the kinds of characteristics that can turn an ordinary coin into one that collectors eagerly pursue. But here's the twist. Not every unusual mark increases value. Damage after the coin leaves the mint is completely different from a genuine mint error. That distinction has disappointed countless hopeful owners who believed they had discovered a fortune. Yet it has also rewarded patient collectors willing to study every coin carefully instead of rushing to conclusions. Think about it for a second. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? What if one deserved a closer look before being spent on a cup of coffee? That's a question worth asking. Among the most desirable examples are coins displaying dramatic striking errors, broad strikes, significant off-center strikes, doubled dies confirmed by experts, or exceptional condition with brilliant original surfaces. While these discoveries are genuinely rare, they capture enormous attention whenever they appear in the collector market because rarity drives demand. Professional grading also plays a major role. A coin preserved in virtually flawless condition may command dramatically stronger prices than an identical piece showing everyday circulation wear. Collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples, and that competition can push auction prices to astonishing levels. Stories of unexpected discoveries continue to inspire collectors across the country. A forgotten coin album inherited from a grandparent, a dusty box purchased at a garage sale, a handful of pennies saved from grocery store change. Sometimes remarkable treasures appear where nobody expects them. Now comes the moment many people overlook. Before cleaning any old penny, stop immediately. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and dramatically reduce collector appeal. Ironically, trying to make a coin look better often makes it worth much less. That's one expensive polishing job nobody wants. Some headlines claim extraordinary 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln cents have reached values approaching $926,000 under exceptional circumstances involving extreme rarity, remarkable preservation, and highly sought-after characteristics. While such prices represent exceptional cases rather than typical examples, they remind collectors why careful examination matters. Every valuable discovery begins with someone deciding to take a closer look, instead of assuming every penny is ordinary. The next time you receive change, don't rush to drop those pennies into a jar or leave them forgotten in your car. Turn each one over, examine the date, study the surfaces. Look for unusual features that separate an ordinary coin from an extraordinary collectible. The difference between 1 cent and a collector's prize may be smaller than the width of a fingerprint, but recognizing it could change everything. The greatest treasures aren't always buried underground. Sometimes they've been sitting quietly in your pocket all along, simply waiting for someone curious enough to notice.